I was clicking around YouTube and found some comments on a video where people were talking about buying feed, I don't know what you call it, feed grade grain, wheat, and oats, I think it was. And so I just wanted to say I tried that one time. I couldn't, at that time, it was very, very difficult to get wheat. You couldn't get it delivered. You couldn't get it in a number 10 can delivered. You couldn't get it with there were no such things as oxygen absorbers at that time. And so I was desperate to try to get my hands on some wheat. And I went and bought some at a feed supply place, which is meant for animals. And there's a reason why you need to buy wheat that's prepared for human consumption. We have a granary locally. They actually physically wash the wheat, I was told, before it's ground. They grind it pretty much every day of the year, I think, and it's taken out on large trucks to commercial sorry, commercial producers that bake cookies and flour and all kinds of things, pie crust. And so I know that I was told that the wheat that they grind here locally is washed. The wheat you buy for animal consumption is not washed. It's also not triple cleaned. Normally, you're not going to get triple cleaned wheat, which means you're going to have little tiny pieces of mud, little tiny rocks, because it's been screened. It's been screened so that only debris of a certain size will be in there with your wheat, but the debris will be in there with your wheat. There's some other things that might be in there with your wheat that you do not want in with your wheat. They test the wheat that comes into our milling company here in town. They take I think it's a tube, and they put it down into the whole load of wheat so that it gathers wheat from the top, the middle, and the bottom. Like I'm trying to think what you could compare that to. Just a tube, I think it's about yay big around, and it goes all the way down, and so they get a sample all the way through. If it has vomit toxin in it, to a certain level, they reject it. I talked to a farmer who got his wheat rejected because it had a certain level of vomit toxin in it. I think it's a mold that gets in the wheat, and it can cause you to be physically sick, and it does what it says it does. It's vomit toxin, makes you throw up. And so that farmer took it to another granary where they accepted it. Um, Also, they look for mouse turds, animal turds in there. That's disgusting, but they don't want the load contaminated with that, and so they check it to make sure if it's got that in it, they reject it. So they're not rejecting. I doubt very seriously that they're checking the feed quality grain. So please don't buy feed quality grain. Now, the exception to that is, I will say that one of the biggest food storage companies out there, and I told you I haven't named names yet, but I'm going to start doing that soon because I've realized it's counterproductive to try to scoot around that and the names of stores and the names of suppliers. The reason I didn't want to do that is because there's some little guys in the food storage industry. I used to be one of them, and I didn't want to favor the big ones over the little ones, little people. However, one of the biggest food supply companies that supplies a lot of other food storage companies, I should say food storage companies the first time, sorry. One of the biggest food storage companies that I believe is still supplying other food storage companies is Walton Feed, F-E-E-D, and I have reached in there, and I think it's Montpelier, Idaho. It's either Montpelier or Pocatello. I think it's Montpelier, Idaho. But anyways, they're in Idaho. They've been around a long, long time, and they do sell, or they used to be in the feed business, which is the name of the company, Walton Feed, but they got into the food storage business, if I understood it correctly. And they have triple cleaned, good quality product. They have been around a long, long time. So the reason you don't want to buy feed quality grain, please don't do that. I had to take all mine back. It's because those little tiny rocks and other debris in there are going to damage your high-speed flour mills, and it could possibly damage a stone or a burr mill. I'm not positive about that. I know it could damage your high-speed mill. that has high-speed milling heads that turn in opposite directions. So you don't want vomit toxin. You don't want animal debris, refuse, turds. Sorry to be so graphic. You don't want contamination of any kind in your grain supply, and it's worth the shipping. The food storage companies have pretty well got it worked out now that they build in part of the cost of the shipping into the price because they're charging you very low shipping rates. There's hardly any way to compete with them anymore. The only way I would get back into the business is if I find products that are not already out there available, and I've been giving that a lot of long consideration because you just really can't compete. They do a good job. They do a really good job. There's a lot of awesome companies out there. They build part of their shipping costs. They get a great cut on shipping rates because they're shipping so much, and so they get a deal with the shipping companies, and they take advantage of that, which it helps you because most of them have shipping fees that are, one company has a shipping fee for anyways, a maximum of $12. One company does, a big company. Another one has a maximum of like $4 and some cents. So you make out in the end. We're really very fortunate to have the suppliers that we have. So don't buy feed grain, I can't say it, grade grain, feed quality grade. Don't do that. It's not a good idea. That's all I'm going to say. It's enough though, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so. Bye.